It's the year 2024, and all of the world's major religions are anticipating the return of their Messianic Savior to fix the world's problems. The Urantia book has many prophecies about future events linked to what it calls the terminal judgment of our age. Within the profound teachings of this book lie numerous clues and descriptions about the destiny of our world, giving us profound insights about the nature and purpose of the anticipated divine visitation. Come along on a journey to delve into the dynamic interplay between age-old prophecies and recent revelations. We will review the best-known biblical prophecies about the so-called end-times scenarios, such as the Gospel of Matthew, the Book of Daniel, the apocryphal Book of Enoch, and John's Book of Revelation. Our review of the Urantia book's prophecies will then be contrasted with those biblical scriptures to discover the similarities and the differences. Our shared odyssey beckons a shift in perspective, unveiling the possibility that these scriptures are not foreseeing a dystopian future, but are instead signaling a divine visitation, which causes significant changes in the world's leadership and heralds the dawn of an extraordinary period in human history.
Paper 195 of the Urantia book says that Urantia is not quivering on the very brink of one of its most amazing and enthralling epochs of social readjustment, moral quickening, and spiritual enlightenment. The spiritual renaissance must await the coming of these new teachers of Jesus' religion, who will be exclusively devoted to the spiritual regeneration of men. And then will these spirit-born souls quickly supply the leadership and inspiration requisite for the social, moral, economic, and political reorganization of the world. Urantia book language is usually packed with meaning, but what I want to do here is to bring out the portions of what I just read to give us a snapshot of what they're talking about exactly. You see on the first paragraph that we are quivering on the very brink of an amazing age of change, social readjustment, moral quickening, and a spiritual enlightenment. In the second paragraph, we hear that there's a spiritual renaissance coming. So we're quivering on the very brink of a spiritual renaissance and spiritual enlightenment based on what they're saying here. In the third quote, we are told again that this social readjustment, this period of spiritual renaissance, is going to quickly supply a leadership that's going to reorganize the world on all social, moral, economic, and political lines. So this is an extremely radical change in the way this world operates. And we're told in the Urantia book that we're on the very brink of that. Now, before going further with the Urantia book, I want to show you how this same idea appears in the biblical prophecies. Now, most of the world right now, they're even afraid to speak about this because they've been conditioned to see the future as apocalyptic, with dystopian ideas running throughout half the world, dying angels, poisoning people, God's wrath coming. These are all coming actually from only 2 paragraphs in the Bible. So this rapture theory that's popular with the Protestants and a lot of the population in America is coming from Matthew 24:30, where we're told that the angels are going to get sent with a trumpet call, and they're going to gather the elect from the 4 winds, and 2 men will be in the field, 1 will be taken and the other left. 2 women will be grinding, 1 will be taken and the other left. The other quote that is the foundation of this rapture theory, before the great cataclysm where half the world ends and so forth, comes from Thessalonians. For the Lord himself will come down from heaven with a loud command, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet call of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first. After that, we who are still alive and are left will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so we'll be with the Lord forever. Now, this rapture theory literally is standing only on these two quotes. But what's really interesting is that when we look at the other prophecies in the Bible, they do not concur. So, for instance, in the book of Daniel, written around 600 BC, while the Jews were in captivity in Babylon, Daniel tells us in chapter 12 that at that time Michael, the great prince who stands watchful over the people, will rise up. There'll be a time of distress, the likes of which has never occurred before. But at that time, your people, everybody whose name is found in the book of life, will be delivered. Many will roam to and fro. Knowledge will be increased. And how long will this take? When the power of the holy people has finally been shattered, all these things will be completed. So what are we being told here in the book of Daniel? Many will roam to and fro, so there's going to be a lot more travel. Knowledge will increase. That's obviously the digital revolution and our ability to traverse the earth in much faster time. How long will it take? The power of the holy people has been finally shattered. These things will be completed, and we all know what's happening with not only evolutionary religions, but also the power of the true religionists to affect this world. We're being shut up more and more. In Daniel 7:19 we hear, as I watched, the horn was waging a war against the saints and prevailing against them until the Ancient of Days arrive and pronounce judgment in favor of the saints of the Most High. And the time came for them, these saints, to possess the kingdom. But the court will convene, and his dominion will be taken away and completely destroyed forever. That's the Antichrist. Then the sovereignty, dominion, and greatness of the kingdom shall, under all of heaven, will be given to the people, the saints of the Most High. His kingdom will be everlasting kingdom, and the rulers will serve and obey him. So what I want to point out here, how in the book of Daniel, we don't have that cataclysmic, apocalyptic, dystopian future. All it says is that the rulers are going to change, which is what also we're told in the Urantia book. If we move on to the book of Revelation, in Revelation 2:26, we hear that he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. Again, we hear about a change of power from the rich and haughty to the spiritually elect. Also in Revelation 7:14, we hear that these are the ones who have come out of the great tribulation. They have washed their robes and make them white in the blood of the Lamb. For this reason, they are before the throne of God and serve him day and night in his temple. And the one seated on the throne will spread his tabernacle over them. Never again will they hunger, thirst, or have excessive heat, because the Lamb, the center of the throne, will be their shepherd. So this is talking about a day in the future when what's going to happen is going to happen, and then we're going to have a throne of God and a temple with the Son of Man seated on it. He is going to rule the earth, him and the saints that he puts in power. Also, we see in the book of Revelation a similarity with what we're told in the Urantia book. And it does not have the apocalyptic vision, even though this section is coming from that same book of Revelation. Now, as we know, the book of Revelation, like all other scriptures from ancient times, some of it was written by holy men, and some of it was written by not so holy men. So we know that the book of Revelation was a valid, authentic vision that John of the Apostle of John had in Patmos while he was in exile. But we also know that it's been greatly jumbled. A lot of things have gone missing. Some things have been added in, and the character of it has been changed. Angels don't bring poison. God does not have wrath. That whole section is false. But we see in the other sections that, again, that he that overcometh and keep my works, to him will I give power over the nations. So life is going to continue on this planet after a period of trial and tribulation, at which time the power is going to be given to a totally different kind of people. Now again, so we're finding this in the book of Revelation and the book of Daniel and the Urantia book all concur on this point. But there's more. We can also go to the Book of Enoch. Again, we hear about this transfer of power. Enoch chapter 38 says, "And when the righteous one shall appear before the eyes of the righteous, whose elect works hang upon the Lord of spirits, and light shall appear to the righteous and the elect who dwell on the earth, where then will be the dwelling of the sinners, and where the resting place of those who have denied the Lord of spirits. It had been good for them if they had not been born. When the secrets of the righteous shall be revealed, and the sinners judged, and the godless driven from the presence of the righteous and the elect, from that time those that possess the earth shall no longer be powerful and exalted." So again, we're hearing the same story, this time from the Book of Enoch, that the sinners and the righteous shall be separated, and the righteous shall inherit the earth. So in the book of Enoch, in the book of Daniel, in the book of Revelation, and the Urantia Revelation, we're all hearing about the same thing. Some great event that's launched by a divine presence or incarnation, that's followed by a throne being set up for this divine being in a certain place where he's going to reign forever and ever, with the righteous and the saints being given power over the nations. This is a recurring theme. Again, we hear in the Urantia book in paper 170 that Jesus referred to one phase of the kingdom to the future, and did on numerous occasions intimate that such an event might appear as part of a world crisis. So Jesus said many times that the next phase is going to be going a period where the world is in a serious crisis, which I think we can all identify with right now. In paper 176, Urantia says, "What the whole world must face as a literal fact at the end of an age, you as individuals must each most certainly face as a personal experience when you reach the end of your natural life." Now, the Urantia book is amazing with the way it uses words, and at times is so subtle about what it's saying. So if you just reverse the wording on the second quote, you'll see what it's saying, that what you'll face at the end of your life is similar to what the whole world will face at the end of the age. So it's a death experience where the old world and the old ways of doing things and thinking are coming to an end, or reaching a dead end, before, of course, a new birth. So again, we see that the Urantia book is in agreement with ancient scriptures in that there's going to be a world crisis, a period of great trial and tribulation, and it's going to be feeling like reaching the end of life, or at least the end of this particular chapter in human history, because what we're hearing is the end of the age is not the same thing as the end of the times. The end of the times is something that comes from the book of Revelation. It's not an end time. It's the end of one chapter and beginning of another. So we can see outside of a couple of shaky quotes from Matthew of Thessalonians, all of the ancient scriptures agree with what the Urantia Revelation is teaching. The Urantia Papers never really refers to what things are going to be like after this event, after the end of this age, and after the arrival of a paradise cell. But we can kind of do some intelligent guesswork here. I want to show you first what it says about the tree of life in the book of Enoch. As you know, the tree of life was burnt in the temple of the Universal Father. while it was on earth, could fed the immortals or the watchers that were in this world, the Adam Nees and their staff and others who were here, could continue life indefinitely while they took the fruit from this tree. Let's hear what Enoch 25 has to say. This high mountain which thou hast seen, whose summit is like the throne of God, is his throne, where the Holy Great One, the Lord of glory, the eternal King, will sit, when he shall come down to visit the earth with goodness. And as for this fragrant tree, no mortal is permitted to touch it till the great judgment, when he shall take vengeance on all, and bring everything to his consummation forever. It shall then be given to the righteous and holy. Its fruit shall be food for the elect. It shall be transplanted to the holy place, the temple of the Lord, the eternal King. Then shall they rejoice with joy and be glad, and into the holy place shall they enter. And its fragrance shall be in their bones, and they shall live a long life on earth, such as thy fathers lived. So this is really interesting quote from Enoch. And we know also Enoch, it is not original. A lot of things have been added. A lot of things have been taken away. It's been corrupted like all of these scriptures. However, we also know that Jesus read and reread the Book of Enoch many times, and that he took that title of the Son of Man from the Book of Enoch. And that basically tells you that he recognized himself before incarnating as a human being here. He recognized himself in those stories of Enoch when he traveled to the heavens, and he said, yes, I am that Son of Man that he's talking about. So there is truth in it. And what we're here in this quote, again, is the story of the throne of God, this Son of God that comes to earth, the Lord of the earth, when ye shall visit the earth with goodness, and that at this throne, or near the throne, there's going to be the tree of life. And the people that are righteous shall be allowed to eat it and live much longer lives. But that's not where it ends. We also have something about the tree of life in the book of Revelation. In Revelation 2:7, we hear that he who has an ear, let him hear. Let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To the one who conquers, I will grant to eat of the tree of life, which is in the paradise of God. Again, we're told about this tree of life in the paradise of God, which is where the throne of God will be set up, a new city, where it will be the new celestial headquarters on planet Earth, visible. In Revelation 21:2, we hear that, and I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride, adorned for her husband. 22:1-3, then he showed me a river of the water of life, clear as crystal, coming down from the throne of God and of the Lamb. In the middle of the street, on either side of the river, was the tree of life, bearing 12 kinds of fruit, yielding its fruit every month, and the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. So even in Revelations, we see in the book of Enoch, and we see in two separate places in the book of Revelation, talk about the return of the tree of life. Another interesting thing I'd like to bring to your attention is in Enoch 38:5, when we hear that then shall the kings and the mighty perish, and be given into the hands of the righteous and the holy. And thenceforth none shall seek for themselves mercy from the Lord of spirits for their life as an amend. Again, so we're hearing about the kings and the mighty perishing, and their powers being given to the righteous and holy. And it shall come to pass, we hear at 39:1, in those days that elect and holy children will descend from the high heaven, and their seed will become one with the children of men. This is a really interesting quote from the book of Enoch, because it's explaining how our genes were grafted with the celestials, and we're being told that the holy children will descend from heaven and mix their genes with regular human beings. And of course, what's most interesting about this is that this is also something that we're told about in the Urantia revelation itself on paper 93, where we're asked, or is there a possibility then unexpected and unprecedented event is to take place to sometime return to the planet of Adam and Eve, or certain of their progeny, as representatives of Michael, with the titles vicegerents of the second Adam of Urantia. Of course, these children that were taken after the default of Adam and Eve had been held. We're being told is that they might be returned as the second Adams of Urantia, which means what? They're going to continue Adam and Eve's work, which is grafting their genes with regular humans to upstep our genetic potential. What the Urantia book says here is being corroborated in the Book of Enoch. We've now heard how the story of what's supposedly going to happen on planet Earth in the near future, as revealed in the Urantia revelation, is so eerily similar to what we're told in the Book of Daniel, the Book of Revelation, and the Book of Enoch. The similarities are too pronounced to be coincidental, but of course the Urantia book takes things further than anything we've known before, and so I'd like to draw your attention to a few of the quotes from the Urantia book where they expand on what we already know and have been told for thousands of years. Paper 176 tells us the gospel of the kingdom will go to all the world, salvation will spread to all people, and when this kingdom of God shall have come to its full fruition, be assured that the Father in heaven, will not fail to visit you with an enlarged revelation of truth and an enhanced demonstration of righteousness, even as he has already bestowed upon this world, he who became the Prince of Darkness and an Adam, followed by Melchizedek and the Son of Man. Again, I want to draw your attention to the way language has been used here in the most interesting way. So we're told that when the kingdom shall come to its full fruition, that's when the enlarged revelation of truth and enhanced demonstration of righteousness is going to happen. What is then enlarged revelation of truth, if not the fifth ethical revelation? So, if we are to believe that the Urantia book is then enlarged revelation, and there's no way that it's anything else, then the arrival of the Urantia book is a signal that the kingdom has reached its full fruition. They just said it in a backward way. So in other words, the Urantia revelation itself is the most significant sign of the times because it's announcing the full fruition of the age. Now, what is the full fruition? The full fruition of the age, again, is not of the kingdom, it's the full fruition of the age. The full fruition of the age is explained as a time when humanity can no longer find the ethics, the spiritual progress, and the things that it means to continue evolution. It has reached the end of the line as far as what it can do itself. Just like Jesus said that when the wheat and the weeds, they should be allowed to grow side by side until the harvest. And at the time of the harvest, the gardener comes and separates them and burns the weeds. Because what happens when you have a garden where the weeds and the weeds are allowed to grow together? Eventually, the weeds are going to reach the pinnacle of their growth, and so are the wheat. And at that point, the weeds are going to destroy the field of wheat. So unless the gardener steps in, that's the end of his field, which he is obviously not going to allow. We're being told that the Urantia book itself is signaling the end of this age, that we have come to full fruition and that we cannot evolve any further from this point without celestial help. Now let's see if you can get corroboration also on paper 176. The times of the reappearing of the Son of Man are only known in the Council of Paris, not even the angels of heaven know. However, you should understand that when this gospel of kingdom shall have been proclaimed to all the world for the salvation of all peoples, and when the fullness of the age has come to pass, the Father will send you another dispensational bestowal, or else the Son of Man will return to judge the age. So we're being told again here by Jesus himself that the fullness of the age is what will signal that there is another dispensational bestowal coming. and that the earth is going to be judged. Also, in Pecto 176, we hear that we most positively believe that Michael will again come in person to Urantia, but we have not the slightest idea as to when or in what manner he may choose to come. Will his second advent on earth be timed to occur in connection with the terminal judgment of this present age, either with or without the associated appearance of a magisterial son? The first quote on top tells us that when the full fruition shall be reached, you'll get an enlarged revelation of truth, which is quite obviously the Urantia book itself. And in the middle paragraph, we hear when the fullness of the age has come to pass, the Father will send you another visitation. These are all working together to spell out a very specific scenario. Section 52, we hear that when these Avenal Paradise Sons come on magisterial missions, at least the initial one, they are always incarnated, though they do not experience birth, neither do they die the death of the realm. They may live on for generations while they remain as rulers on certain planets. And then in paper 20, we are told directly that Urantia has never been host to an Avenal son on a magisterial mission. So therefore, if we've never had that, then this would be the initial visitation, which means they will be incarnated. He will be incarnated as a touchable, the visible Son of God. But we're also told something else in a totally different section. In paper 35, we're told that when an Avenal son enters upon a bestowal, he is accompanied by the Melchizedek supporters, 12 in number, who help them on these bestowal missions. They also support the Paradise Avenals on magisterial missions, which is what's coming up next to the inhabited worlds. And in these assignments, the Melchizedeks are visible to mortal eyes, if the Avenal Son is also thus manifest. So in other words, if it's an initial magisterial mission, in which case the Avenal Paradise Son has to come into flesh, although they're not born as babies. They will be visible and touchable. And when that happens, we're told that he is accompanied by 12 Melchizedeks. The Melchizedeks, these 12 Melchizedeks can only be the Melchizedek receivers that have been involved with the evolution of this planet for so many thousands of years. And of course, one of them is Machiavellian Melchizedek himself, the third epical revelation, the one that appeared to Abraham and affected our history so much. So what they're saying directly, although they never directly say it in one sentence, which they should, considering how important it is, they've left it to be discovered, that at the time of the magisterial visitation, he is going to come as a full-grown man accompanied by 12 visible Melchizedek sons. So let's see if we can gather our thoughts here in this heady subject and come to some conclusions. As we can see, all of the world's most famous end times scriptures, like the Book of Daniel, the Book of Enoch, Gospel of Matthew, and the Book of Revelation, agree basically with what the Urantia book says about our future. And when we put it all together, what we're hearing is that when this visitation will occur is not going to be a time of Greek cataclysm or apocalyptic nightmares. That is something that really doesn't exist in the Bible except in one section of the Book of Revelation where we're told about a God and his angels being violent and mass murdering half of humanity. We know this is not the case. We know this is not the Father. Angels are called angels because they don't mass murder. They don't carry poison. This is all this stuff of Stone Age people. The Heavenly Father does not work that way. What we're fearing from, if we put all these scriptures, including the Urantia book, together, is that it's going to be either Jesus himself or an Avenal Paradise Son, or the both of them, accompanied by 12 Melchizedek selves, who will be assisted by the Trinity teacher sons and brilliant evening star and millions of angels at a time when this world is going to go through a rebirth after it ends a very long and ugly chapter in its history having to do being caused by the Lucifer rebellion and the fall of the angels, which brought us to this state today. What we're being told is that when they come, they're going to set up a camp, a headquarters, probably like before, where it's cut off from the rest of humanity, and only the spiritually wise are allowed to enter, where they're taught and then sent out to their countries or races to teach what they've been taught. And at that time, the children of Adam and Eve who were taken off would be returned to resume the genetic uplift, which is crucial, because without that, without the raising our potential for higher thoughts, really none of these problems are going to go away. So that is an essential part of it. And also the return of Tree of Life. And slowly over the course of 1,000 years until we reach the era of light and life, there's going to be a slow transition, but a very marked and very noticeable transition in that we will from then on have a visible Son of God on the planet, on his throne, directing how things are going to go. Of course, without bloodshed, without wars, but you can imagine that only, even if it's just the mere appearance of the Son of God, everything in this world is going to change and nothing is going to be the same. So, while we look forward to that, most of these discussions about the end times are more focused on what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. Our discussion here today has been, what is it going to look like afterward? As far as the timing, we know that all the signs have come to pass. The fall of humanity, the fall of its political, economic systems, the fall of its evolutionary religions, and hitting a dead end in a place where the entire world is connected, and yet it's all broken inside because of nationalism, racism, and religionism, and egoism, which stop us from being able to cooperate and build a true heaven right here on earth. We can, and we will. As far as when is this supposed to happen, Jesus gave one crucial clue when he said that, concerning the times of the coming again of the Son of Man, this is on page 176 of the Urantia book, no one in heaven or on earth may presume to speak. Nobody knows. But we should be wise regarding the ripening of an age. Again, remember, ripening of an age, not the full fruition of the kingdom, but the full fruition of an age. You should be wise regarding the ripening of an age. You should be alert to discern the signs of the times. You know when the fig tree shows its tender branches and puts forth its leaves, as summer is near. Likewise, when the world has passed through the long winter of material-mindedness and discern the coming of the spiritual springtime of a new dispensation, should you know that summertime of the new visitation draws near. Some people have looked at this quote in the past and said, well, it can't be near because material mindedness has ended. Look around you, it doesn't, it's still the same. So they take this to mean that it's still a ways off. But when we look at this sentence more clearly, something else surfaces. When the world has passed through the long winter of material mindedness and you discern the coming of the springtime of a new visitation, of a new dispensation. That's the time. So the time is now when the material mindedness is gone. The time comes when the material mindedness has reached its peak and the pendulum is starting to bounce the other way. When the fig tree shows its tender branches and puts its leaves. Okay, so that means when it starts, when the leaves starts coming out, the tender branches. when the material-mindedness has passed through the long winter and you discern the coming of a spiritual springtime. So that's only when the worst of the materialistic world has ended and the world is shifting in another direction. Right at that point, in the beginning of that exact time, is when this visitation is supposed to happen. The old age has reached full fruition, and the tree is getting new tender branches, new growth, new birth, and new age. COVID has really changed things in this world. First, the digital revolution really changed it. Our knowledge was increased. Travel to and fro was increased. But COVID really made a change in people, and articles started coming out in the last couple of years how these new generations really are different and they see things differently. I want to read you something from the Deloitte Global Generation Z and Millennial survey. This is from just a couple of years ago, I believe. The unprecedented circumstances of the past few years have prompted many people around the world to rethink their priorities, leading to the Great Resignation. This time of historic voluntary turnover presents significant opportunities from millennials and Gen Zs. As this year's survey results indicate, the sustained workplace changes they've been asking for, including higher compensation, more flexibility, better work-life balance, increased learning and development, increased opportunities, better mental health and loneliness support, and a greater commitment from businesses to make positive societal impact, are also the strategies that will help employers attract and retain talent. That's what this new generation wants. Bankrate found that rather than cut expenses to boost savings, 3 out of 4 say they would rather have a better quality of life than extra money in the bank. The values are shifting. This is a shift in the way people see things in how generations, who were previously madly obsessed with money and power, are fading away and are being replaced by a new generation that has different priorities. Is this the new leaves? When we look at the world and look at the shape it's in and how dangerous it's become, how all of its most important portents are falling apart, how it's tearing apart at the seams. And when we look at the fact that we're being told directly that this is the terminal judgment of the age and that the Urantia revelation itself represents the biggest sign of the times, then we can expect that from this period forth, we are in that window of opportunity where this Son of God is going to appear. Do not think it's going to happen when all hell's broken loose off planet Earth with wars and apocalyptic situations. This is not the case. This is not what the ancient scriptures said, and this is not what the Urantia book teaches. So have peace of mind. He will come, as we're told repeatedly in the Bible, when the world does not expect him. At this present time, the world expects him to come at a time called cataclysm. But if we take the information that we just went through and put it on the microscope, what we're told is that that is not a case, and that he could appear anytime, any day, and that we should be prepared to receive him and assist him in the readjustment and total revolution that's going to take place in how our world is governed, who governs it, and what laws they abide by. In reflecting upon the peculiarities of our world and its incredible destiny, one might find it reminiscent of scenes from a science fiction film. However, it's worth noting that this is not the inaugural visitation from celestial beings. Throughout history, such encounters have recurred every few millennia, involving both solitary individuals as well as sizable groups. Let's prepare to receive the Watchers and the Son of God once again.